A lawyer.
No way.
No way you've ever said that in our 5.5-year relationship.
Yeah, I wanted to be a lawyer or a surfer.
Babe.
Or the president of the United States. My mom said I was going to be the first woman president of the United States.
Dear Shandy. Welcome back to Dear Shandy, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm good. You're wearing your favorite color.
It is my favorite color. Look at you. It's a very exciting day today.
Very, very exciting day.
Yes, it's a love fest that has been in the oven.
Brewing
Brewing in the oven? Baking.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I mixed
Slowly rising in the oven for close to a year. Mm-hmm. And we're just so excited that this particular couple carved the time out of their very busy and glamorous lives to join us here to talk about their relationship. So the Bachelor person in question, because there usually is one. First of all, one of my all-time favorite people I've ever met, let alone within Bachelor Nation. And I've always felt like if we lived in the same city, we would just hang out a lot more, but she's very similar to me, I feel. You know her from Bachelor season 19 and 20. So she's actually from my era, more or less. Yeah. And she is the co-host of the massively successful Scrubbing In podcast, where I just think that she just shines. And you can find her on Instagram at Becca Tilley, and her TikTok is at Becca Tilley with a 5 at the end. What's with that 5?
It's like my number. They didn't have Becca Tilley, and so 5's always been my number.
Who else is Becca Tilley?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Someone snatched it.
Her other half is a celebrated pop sensation behind the hit albums Expectations and Panorama. And since her 2015 debut, I'm sorry, you're probably used to this, but I'm going to rattle it off anyway, has amassed over 1 billion global streams and over 2.28 million YouTube subscribers, accrued over 820 million lifetime YouTube views. I'm still going, and sold out numerous venues across the country and abroad. NPR has called her one of the 21st century's most influential women musicians. Ooh. She is the author of the instant, I love that, instant, #1 New York Times best-selling novel, Girls Like Girls. And she even has her own gender-inclusive and award-winning fragrance, Hue.
Wow.
I love that. Just the cherry on
Why
top.
not?
She can be found on Instagram and TikTok at Hayley Kiyoko. You guys, I'm so thrilled that you are here to join us today. Thank you.
We're
Thank
so
you
excited.
So much. What a wonderful intro.
Yeah, wow.
I got my full bio.
Your
Thank you so much.
Don't stop.
There was actually more, but I had to pick and choose.
She abridged that.
Literally,
big time.
I had actress here and like a bit about that, but then I was like, no, I have to pick and choose.
We only have 2 hours.
I'm so excited to be here because Becca's always told me about you, Charlene, and all your amazing escapades and hangouts in New York. And like, she's obsessed with you. Andy can't wait to get to know you more. And
Too
so
sweet.
yeah, we're happy
This
to
is
be
sweet.
here.
Thank you. Actually, I remember when Becca first told me about you and she described you, and I was like, she's Hapa? And I was really excited. Yeah, that was a big moment. Okay, so we want to start at the very beginning of your love story. And even though I think this is pretty well documented online, just for anyone who isn't already well versed, we want to know how you two met, and then we're going to build from there.
Do you want to?
You do. You tell the story better.
This is just a little setup of the situation. So this was in 2018, and at the time, my 2 younger sisters lived with me, and they're both lesbians. So I walked in one day, and they would just sit on the couch and watch YouTube videos. Like, that was kind of an era where, like, it was a lot of YouTube
was in.
Yeah, it was just like a lot of watching of YouTube videos. And they were watching one of Hayley's videos, and it's her video Feelings, and she's very cocky in the video. Like, she's like trying to get this girl's attention. She's dancing. She's like really cocky. And I was like, who is that? And they were like, oh, her name's Hayley Kiyoko. Like, she's really popular in the lesbian music world. And I was like, oh, she thinks she's so cool. And that was kind of like the end of that moment. So a couple days later, my friend Brittany sends me an invite, and it's for Hayley's album release party / birthday celebration. And she was like, hey, would you want to go to this? I grew up with this girl. And she told me to kind of invite whoever. So I was like, this is so weird, because Caroline and Hink were just watching her music video. They love her. And she was like, oh, invite them too. So it was kind of one of those things where it was like, all right, we'll go out. If the party sucks, we'll go somewhere after, like one of those things. So we show up to the party, the group of us, and immediately take some shots. And then Hayley comes up and she introduces herself, and I remember being like, oh, she's so cute. Like, she's such a fun, like, I don't know. I just was like, oh, she's so cute. Were you gonna?
I was just saying, not as cocky as you thought, but kind of. It was
You
my
were
party.
pretty cocky at the party.
It was 2018. I just released my first album. I invited like every eligible female in the vicinity of the area, and Becca ended up being one of them.
Yeah, so she comes up and says hey and introduces herself, and then she goes off to mingle. She ends up coming up a little bit later, and she's like, I think you were drunk at this point. She was flirting hardcore with me, and like we were kind of flirting back and forth, but like innocently. And I was like, oh, she's so cute. We should set her up with my youngest sister, Hink. And Hayley kept asking our friend Brittany, is Becca into girls? And she was like, no, but her sister is. They're so cute. Like you should meet them. That was kind of the plan that night. We ended up taking a group photo, and Hayley and I were holding hands in the photo. Just
within like 10 minutes of knowing each other.
Like girls just like grab each other's hand for the photo.
Like the straight girls are like, yeah. I was like, yeah, let's hold hands.
So that was like a funny realization the next day. And then I clicked on my DMs, and I had a DM from her that was like sliding into your DMs.
Yeah, so I slid into her DMs, and then she was basically just trying to pawn me off to her younger sister, who we love, but I just wasn't interested. And so she set up drinks for me to meet up with her and her sisters. We met on Wednesday and set up the drinks for Friday. This is a very long-winded answer to your question.
No, we love details.
A lot of wind. A lot of wind.
So I was supposed to get drinks with her and her sisters, and then I also like don't drink a lot or go out. So I'm also like panicked because I'm like, where do I meet them? Where do you go out in LA? I don't even know. And her sisters bailed. And then I asked her, like, would you still want to get a drink with me? And so that's when we had like our, like, I would say in quotes, date. And we met up and we like talked for like 4 hours. And then the next day she invited me out, and then she kissed me. And then I left for tour 2 days later. And then from that point on, we were like, I was on tour for a full year, but we were in like a long distance relationship, essentially.
Wait a minute.
So what?
Wait.
Yeah, I have questions as well, but go ahead.
Glazed over a few
Yeah,
you really
I'm just trying to pick it up.
Really
like,
cut to the chase there.
I'm just summarizing, Andy.
Details are
Okay, fine. Get the details in.
Go ahead.
Well, you just sort of glossed over the Becca kissing. Like
Yeah. Well, I have two questions. That's definitely going to have to get fleshed out. But Hayley, did you know who Becca was when you first laid eyes on her?
Thank you so much for asking me, Andy.
Okay.
This is a hot topic. I did, but I pretended not to.
Nice.
If anyone is listening, if you're ever in this situation, just admit that you know who they are. Like, just don't even pretend to be too cool for school. I totally knew who Becca was. I'm a massive Bachelor fan. I am part of Batch Nation. One of the co-founders. I'm kidding. I'm not a founder. But I was a big fan. And so when I met Becca, all my friends were like, oh my gosh, did you see Becca from The Bachelor is here? And I was like, oh my gosh, I know.
Yeah, but you told her you didn't know her, and now here you are 5.5 years later. So your advice is not good.
Well, she got mad at me for not telling her.
Fight about that.
Oh, okay.
Why lie about something so silly?
Yeah.
It's funny, when we had gone on our first date, I had told him at the end, not first date, the night we had met, I was like, let's do this fun thing, like before we see each other again, where we just don't Google each other.
Yeah, that's what you tell to someone who's.
That.
Well,
Who doesn't Google someone who tells them not to Google them?
So he was like, I will Google you.
You're like asking for it.
Who has the self-control?
That's true.
Yeah, he fully Googled me, lied about it, and then I found out later, and I was
had to lie when I Googled her.
Okay, so Andy and I,
we're both liars. We're both liars. But here we are.
Okay, it sounds like you were both. My next question was, how familiar were you with each other? And it sounds like quite.
Yeah, I knew that she was on Crystal's season. Yeah, and I knew she was a good Christian girl. But that's pretty much it, really. And then she tried to pawn me off to her sisters.
Yeah.
and then, Becca, you thought that Hayley was cocky.
Yeah, I saw her in the music video. It wasn't her talking or anything. And then when I met her, and I think when I saw her at the party, she was confident because it was her party. She felt, everyone was there for her, but I didn't see her in that like way that I saw her in the video, because she was very personable and warm and, came up and introduced herself. She wasn't too cool at the party.
Well, she is an actress,
really not that cool.
I failed to mention in the bio that she is an actress, so she was
wow.
good at playing a cocky
Thank you so much. I'm hoping, keep adding fun facts throughout the hanging.
Okay, so I want to analyze that first. It doesn't sound like it was supposed to start out as a date. It sounds like it finished as a date.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What were your impressions of each other? Like, how did those morph? I want to know. Like, that sounds like a really momentous evening.
I think for me, it wasn't. For me, it was more like I remember being in the car on the way home because we had talked for like 4 hours, like basically shut the bar down, and I remember leaving and thinking like I had never done that and like enjoyed that. And then I kind of was questioning because I had known that she was interested in me because she was flirting with me. She slid into my DMs. She initiated still getting the drink. So I was like, did I like the attention? I was just processing what it felt like, but I didn't sleep that night. Like I got home super late and then I didn't sleep because I was just like, buzzing.
Well, we kept texting too after.
Yeah, it was like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And then we were like still texting. And then I didn't sleep for like the first 3 months of our relationship because I was just like, falling in love for the first time.
That's
just like
cute.
Painfully like excited. And so, I remember having that moment more so like reflecting, like during I knew I was enjoying myself, but it was more so after the fact of being like, oh, that was different. That was a different experience.
I'm going to ask the dumb guy question here, but this was not the first time you kissed a girl, right?
It was, yeah.
Oh,
wait, me?
Wow.
Yeah, my first time.
Your first time. Oh,
wow.
Okay.
What good instincts.
Yeah.
5.5 years later, that's
that's amazing. That's like a hole in one.
She is a hole in one. She's an athlete. She really is. Well, it's cool though because I've dated a lot of women prior, but I've also dealt with a lot of like rejection where like I tend to go for more straight presenting women, and then they'll be like, I can't do this, or it's just too difficult for them, and so I end up rejected. What made Becca different among all other things is that like she kissed me, which was the craziest thing. Like the next day she invited me out, which again, I don't go out. They were like at the bungalow and like it was like midnight and like I had rehearsal the next morning. I'm very like serious and like I was just like focusing on work, and they're like, we're in Santa Monica. And I'm like, and I was in like Studio City, North Hollywood. So it's like a long drive. So I was like, I'm not going. I was like, I really must be really into her if I'm going to drive to Santa Monica at midnight, be the DD, pick these girls up. And then Becca kissed me, which was like the craziest thing. And that's where I was like, whoa, like this is different. And this is like a very real thing.
Wow.
Because she didn't really think twice about it.
Oh, I love that story.
That's really great.
Okay.
It's so amazing that you had never done that and it felt so natural. It felt like the obvious thing to do. That's amazing.
Yeah. I certainly had some liquid courage, but I think that I always say our connection was so intense and so strong that I never second guessed any of the motions or like the natural progression of the relationship, which was really nice because it's so easy to overthink those things, especially coming from my background and being on The Bachelor, dating men, exclusively. And then having this connection with a woman and being like, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to like let myself experience it and enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And I'm really glad that that's how it went because
that you allowed yourself to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of that strong connection you just touched on, I want to know that first night you really hang out, what your first impressions were of each other, like on a, interpersonal You know, Becca, you know how I am. Like, what was it about her? Like, what was your banter like? And then how those have changed 5.5 years later, if at all.
Well, I'll go first. I mean, Becca's like a light, as we all know.
Oh,
Emotional.
I'm sorry, I'm
I
melted.
get emotional when I say nice things. I get emotional when other people say nice things. It's just a thing. I don't know. That's why I'm in therapy. But no, she's the light, and so like, I remember. I mean, she's like these beautiful blue eyes, and so I like met her, and she had like a gorgeous smile, and she just had this like energy of like warmth, and I'm always very attracted to like warmth, and yeah, she's just so inviting me, and anyone who meets Becca is just like, she makes other people feel so good about themselves in like a very like simple way, and a deep way. So
she's very generous.
Yes. And so I felt that immediately when I met her at the club. at the club. But yeah, I mean, and that hasn't changed at all. So, I mean, she's are there any first impressions of her that have changed at all? Like, I'm just curious. 5.5 years later, there's got to be something. No, I mean, like, not really. I mean, I guess I thought she was like a party girl because when I met her, she was like always going out and like she seemed very social. And which she's a very social person, but she's not like just like going out every single night and the weekends and stuff. But I think I assumed that she was like that, which was incorrect. Yeah. So if that's what you're fishing for, there's one for you.
All right,
Becca is the ultimate. You're like the poster child extroverted introvert, in my opinion.
Yeah. I like when someone finally named that, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, because I didn't relate to being extremely either or.
Yeah. Okay, Becca, you're not getting out of answering this.
I think meeting Hayley and kind of after we met and like kind of seeing her music videos and her more like public persona, I thought she was this like very like in my mind, I remember thinking we have this really, really strong connection, but this girl's about to leave for tour. I remember thinking like she could hurt me. Like this feels like someone who could, she's just going to have like people throwing themselves at her. She's going on tour. And I was so wrong because Hayley's like the most loyal person I've ever met, like almost to a fault, not towards me, but like almost to a fault in some cases. And I think that more than anything, I've seen her as like an artist and what she's been able to do as far as like opening the doors for people to feel safe being themselves. Like, I think I always thought of it as this like super sexualized persona and like career. And I think what she's done is push the boundaries to give people a chance to see people in healthy, loving relationships, just like we've been able to see in like heterosexual couples and like people navigate that on the screen. She's been able to open the doors. And so I think I've learned, and it's been a journey for me of like learning how to like process what she does as art and like how her mind works and what her goal is with her art. And I just think like the like arrogant girl that I saw in the video is it's a part of her, but I think that who she is like the most loving and like loyal and passionate and like emotional person. And I think that in like the best way I've gotten to see these parts of her that just like changed my whole perspective of who she was when I first met her.
Oh my God.
That was a good answer.
I need to steady
that
myself.
That was more than we usually
that.
get. Yeah, we usually get like 6 or 7 words with like.
No.
That was
no one does that, but that was really
people.
Beautiful.
So, Hayley, what were you like before you met Becca? Were you a serial monogamist? Were you playing the field? Like, was she right up until you met her?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Were you different?
I mean, I was single at the time, so I was doing what everyone else does when they're single, is like trying to find validation, trying to find someone who will like you back. So I was enjoying my single life at that time. But my history is I like long-term relationships,
Right.
and I'm a relationship person. But when I had met Becca, I had finally had like my like a couple of years of being single, learning how to live on my own by myself. And so that was kind of like where I was in my life. But I'm not like a player. I present confident, but I'm very sensitive and highly emotional.
A true creative.
Overthink things, a true creative, psychologically up and down, so.
It's a fun roller coaster.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't have the capacity to be what she initially thought I was.
I find it interesting how it feels like you both were aware that the other could hurt you, and in a way that there's something beautiful about that.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of you was in complete control at the beginning of your relationship. You both seemed aware of how the other could hurt you.
Yeah. It's an even playing field of a certain kind.
In different ways. Yeah. And then you both sort of surrender to that.
Yeah,
and
high stakes on both sides.
You build trust really fast when that's the case.
True.
Versus one person having all the power.
Yeah. Charlene, you know what I love?
Me?
Yeah, but...
Are we not advertising your love for me?
Okay, fine. Your turn.
What else do you love?
I also love Lomi.
Lomi. We don't even call it the Lomi. It's just Lomi. It has a name.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now.
Lomi. Oh, it's not coming.
Come here, Lomi.
Sleeping. Sleeping.
Okay, so Lomi is our electric countertop composter. You take all your food waste, your scraps, so this could be leftovers from your plates, it's not enough to get another meal out of, or the parts of the fruits and vegetables and eggshells that just go in your trash. You put that in your Lomi, and then with the push of a button, quite literally one button, Andy loves this
It is
button.
definitely one button.
It's a very satisfying button.
Yeah, it's the button.
It's the button.
It's dead center, it's big, and it lights up.
At the push of that button, it turns all that food waste into nutrient-rich soil, which you can then sprinkle on your plants. Look at this. Andy has literally brought this plant back to life because of Lomi soil.
100%. And the food that you do not compost eventually will turn into methane, which is by far the most harmful greenhouse gas.
Yes, all that food waste goes into these plastic garbage bags that go God knows where. And then that just becomes methane. I mean, I cannot think of worse double whammy of badness. It's the waste in the first place. Food waste is a huge problem. And then it turns into a greenhouse gas. Are you kidding me?
And it's a fart smelling greenhouse gas.
Oh, no.
It smells like farts. Methane. It's true.
And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Lomi is a killer gift for someone who is environmentally conscious and who cooks a lot at home or who gardens.
And you have to be selective about who you give this gift to, because whoever you give this gift to will think that you truly love them.
So whether you want to start making a positive environmental impact or just grow a beautiful garden, Lomi is perfect for you.
Head to lomi.com/Shandy and use promo code Shandy to get $50 off your Lomi.
Again, that's $50 off when you go to lomi.com/Shandy and enter promo code Shandy at checkout. Thank you, Lomi, for sponsoring this episode. So Andy, I will confess that athletic greens I had heard thrown around by celebrity types.
Oh, yeah.
Those types. But I was always like, oh, I don't know what that is. And then I actually tried AG1 for myself and I was like, oh.
Now you know why celebrities like it.
Now I know why celebrities like it and will actually endorse it.
I love supplements.
Yes.
I'm picky about supplements.
Andy actually, by the way, is a huge supplement junkie.
My day doesn't start until I have my glass of AG1.
Yes. So AG1, comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition. This is an individual packet. You can otherwise get a large bag that goes in a canister that lives in your fridge after you've opened it. But you just put this in a glass and fill it with water and then stir it. And then that glass is your comprehensive daily nutrition. It has 75 vitamins and minerals. It has a nutrient-dense raw superfood complex, a digestive enzyme and super mushroom complex, and dairy-free probiotics. Everything in one.
And by the way, you'd think with all this stuff, it might taste gross.
Right?
You'd think that.
You would. I thought it was going to
and it says green. It's got word green. People don't like green.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. When I first heard about this, saw it, I was like, I don't know. And plus the mushroom complex.
I was sure it was going to taste bad.
Yeah.
I was like, that's going to taste bad, but it's good for me, so just deal with it.
It's delicious.
I look forward to the taste.
Yes, and it really gets your day off to a good start. Like I have more energy after. I am not making this up. No. You take it first thing in the morning because it's best absorbed on an empty stomach. And I feel like
you know what it feels like to me? It feels like clean coffee.
You are given a boost. And also, I'm not saying this is why you should take it, but I have noticed that it gets my day off to a good start.
Oh, I also know what you mean by a good start.
And you know what this beats? Is standing in the kitchen just popping one pill after another. So if you want to take ownership of your health, try AG1 and get a 1-year supply of vitamin D plus 5 free travel packs with your first order.
Go to drinkag1.com/Shandy, drinkag1.com/Shandy.
So how would you two say, we're 5.5 years in. I mean, I feel like you're nearing 6 years. How would you say you complement each other?
I mean, I don't think there are two people who are more opposite in just like so many different areas. So I feel like because of that, we complement each other really well in a lot of things. And obviously there's times where that becomes a challenge when you think differently and do things differently. But I think where she has weaknesses or like she's a really, really good communicator. She loves communicating her feelings sometimes.
Over communicate.
Yeah. But I think how I grew up and just like how I've lived my life was like I didn't communicate anything. I didn't like confrontation. I didn't like speaking my side of things. And so there's like that beautiful balance of like someone who challenges you in something that's very uncomfortable. So like I've always been very uncomfortable with communication. And Hayley's like, that's how we have to have that.
I mean, we're total opposites, but it works. I mean, and I'm like a workaholic. So like Becca's like a really great balance for me in the sense of she's like really good at being present and enjoying life and celebrating people and just being present in general. Mm-hmm. And so it's been really wonderful having her in my life because like she's brought like joy in my life outside of work, which work has always been like my source of joy. And so it's been cool like in our relationship to be able to like take like, you know, she's the type of person where it's a Saturday and it's like 3:00 and she's like, let's drive to Lake Arrowhead. And I'm like, no, we should not. We're going to hit traffic. It's going to take 2.5 hours to get there. We're barely going to make it to see the sunset. And she's like, no, let's go. And then we drive, like, we literally did this one time. And we drove to Lake Arrowhead and we drove to literally just watch the sunset. And then we drove back. And so, like, that's just the type of, like, spontaneity that Becca has that has brought a lot of joy into my life that, to be honest, I would normally just, like, shut down and be like, it's too late. I'm a very, like, all or nothing person. I'm like, we should have woke up at 8 a.m. and driven to Lake Arrowhead, and then it would have made sense, you know. So,
I feel you.
The real question is, was it a 5-hour sunset? Was that worth the 5 hours?
Oh yeah, no, we had the best time, but we were only there for like an hour.
She was about to leave for Europe, and I was like, I wanted to go see the leaves because it was so hot in LA.
Like fall.
So like driving over to the like more mountain town had the leaves and like colder weather, so we got to have that before she left.
Yeah, it was worth it. We were there for an hour and then we drove back.
Absolutely worth it.
And I'm sure the drive was just as fun as the sunset, right?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I know how it works.
Continues.
That is, you know, there's something to be said for someone who can remind you to smell the roses. Yeah. Or as my mother would say, my mother calls it smelly roses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about smelling the roses. Yeah. I love that.
What are your love languages? Just out of curiosity.
I need all of them.
Yeah, last night she looks at me and she goes, I need 5 out of 7.
They added 2 more. So
I was like, dang.
7.
I didn't even know there were 7.
Wait, what are 6 and 7?
They're kind of like to me, when they added them, I was like, of course. Like, aren't these just like necessities when you're in a relationship? But it was like,
I don't know. I didn't look it up.
You can talk about
it. You're looking at me for the answer. Well, my love language is, I mean, it's a combination of like words of affirmations, like really important to me. And then I would say quality time, probably.
Okay.
Maybe.
You sound confident.
It's shifted as I've, gotten older. Like I used to what's the tangible, what's the gift one? I used to love gifts.
Yeah.
But now I don't really need tangible items anymore. That's not like a thing.
When I was in my 20s, it was like words of affirmation and gifts. And now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like acts of service.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, acts of service. Okay. I would say mine are words of affirmation and acts of service. Those are my top two. So we're the same.
I feel that.
I can't find this. There was an Instagram post. But anyways, I said I need 5 out of 7. Minimum.
What are the five?
Wow.
And no, I would say I would say
touch.
quality time is my number 1, and then I would say physical touch, closely followed by acts of service.
Wow.
So there are certain times where we're having something going on. It's so her job being on tour and like leaving for long periods at a time is really brought those to the surface for me. Like that is how I was really able to see what my love, to identify mine, because I was like, what am I missing here? Physical touch, quality time.
Oh, I'm sure it put it in focus really quickly.
Yeah.
What was an early hurdle in your relationship?
I mean, for me, it was probably, I think I had a lot, but I think for me, it was, I don't talk a lot about just like my family and my people close to me finding out, because, there's 2 perspectives of that story, but navigating that with my family coming from like a very conservative Christian background was something that was very challenging for me. And also the public persona of like us not being public for, 4 years. I think that was early on like a thing to discuss, because she didn't want to be hidden. So it was finding that balance of making sure for her to know that we were keeping it private. That didn't mean that I was hiding her, because when we would go out, if we were in public and someone came up to me or they were like a podcast listener and I was with Hayley, I introduced her as my girlfriend. I just didn't talk about it publicly on the podcast, but like I never wanted her to feel hidden. It was just, I had to be ready for that, because, as like Bachelor Nation, at least for a while when we were on the show, was like hugely conservative, very straight. And
people are mean. People are mean.
I mean, people on the internet are mean. And I was just like, I have to be ready I have to be certain and confident and know that I can take this on when the time comes for that. So that for me was, I think, probably a hurdle for both of us.
Yeah,
but.
I would say the same answers.
I mean, that's a really good hurdle. Not to say it's good, but like it's a quality hurdle.
Yeah. Nice hurdle. Very nice hurdle.
I love that reframe.
Yeah, you need to look at that differently.
We're hurdling over here.
Not to diminish some people's hurdles, but that is a really complex hurdle.
Yeah.
Well,
on many levels.
And it's a hurdle that really establishes like how much you really want to be in this relationship, because you're really like establishing like potentially forever with this person, having to navigate such deep challenges with family and with religion. So you kind of like, our first year was like most people's 5th year, where they're like, should we be together or not? Like, are we fighting for this or not? You know?
That's
good.
It is. I maintain it's a good hurdle in terms of being a good answer.
I love the quality. I love quality hurdle. I love
Grade A+ hurdle.
The best hurdle there ever was.
Best hurdle ever.
Okay, Andy, it's time for your favorite question.
Oh, I do. I have actually 2 questions.
Okay.
Did you, Becca, have any reservations about the fame of Hayley, and what has the or not just reservations, but possibly excitement, and what has the reality been?
Wow, that's such a great question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. I think I've always been drawn to artists. Like I've always been drawn to people who I've always loved singers. I've always loved people who were creative and artistic, because I am not. So I think I've always been drawn to that. And I think
you're a great singer.
She tries to tell me I'm great.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. I'm
I
just
think
kidding.
she has a country
I'm
career.
literally not a
Personally.
good. It's not even one of those things where I'm like shy about it. Like I would give anything if I could.
But you're good enough. You're good enough. Okay.
I'm not trying to be good enough.
It's a good authority.
That was a good reframing,
Yeah.
by the way.
Very nice.
So I think that just in terms of that, like that's something I find very attractive. But I think the reality of it, and also, mind you, this is the first person, not just woman, the first person I've ever been in love with. Okay. So I'm like
Wow.
navigating all of these things for the very first time, falling in love, dating a woman, dating someone who 5 days after we met left for tour. And it's really challenging for me. The short answer is that I have a very hard time with the, when she leaves, I have a really hard time. And I think it's glamorized. I think people are like, oh my gosh, I want to date someone who is a celebrity and whatnot. But I've found it that my personality type, like we could be around each other 24/7 and I'll reframe that. I could be around her 24/7 and never get
No, we both.
Didn't want to speak for
No,
you.
we both.
So polite.
I felt like that's been like the challenge for me is like, I would venture to say I'm her biggest fan. And I also like have the hardest time when she leaves. It's in terms of like my selfish, like wanting to be with her and whatnot.
Sure.
So that's been something that we have had to navigate. And I'm really, people go crazy for her. They're chanting her name. So it's like, I am equally proud. And then, especially when we first started dating, there was like a lot of insecurity around that of like,
Sure.
oh, is she going to bring one of those people on her bus? Like, I didn't know,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been something of like that we still navigate to this day.
It's just hard to be away from your partner, especially I feel like a lot of couples after the pandemic, right? So if you've survived as a couple after the pandemic, you really enjoy your person and your partner.
Yeah.
And I think that unrealistic lifestyle of being able to be together 24/7 kind of threw a lot of people for a loop because when you're away from I don't know, maybe other people like to be away from their partner, but we enjoy being with each other all the time. But the reality is my work and her work, there's a lot of travel involved. So it's just a lot of like communication and finding ways to like adjust depending on, your partner's needs at the time.
So Charlene is an opera singer and she goes on the road for extended gigs, 6-week gigs. And when we first started dating for the first 5 years, 6 years of our relationship, I would stay here for most of her gig. Then I would go see like maybe a week or 10 days of her shows.
Right.
So we'd be apart for like a month, 3 times a year for the first 5 years. And I felt like, are you trying to finish?
No, I want to hear.
She's like,
I want to hear this.
No, I felt that I missed her so much. But I also, on the other hand, was like, this is good. This is like a good missing. It makes us appreciate each other. We don't just become furniture.
To a point, though.
To a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for a week, it's cute. Like, oh, we miss each other. It feels good to miss each other. Like, can't wait to reunite.
Yeah.
I actually think we had it down to the day when we would start to go batty.
I could never go more than 3 weeks.
Three and a half weeks.
3.5 weeks.
3.5 weeks. Like the halfway through that third week, you're like,
I could never. I've never been able to make it 3.5 weeks. But I ask you, do you guys feel to some extent that the distance when Hayley goes on tour, do you think that kind of almost strengthens your relationship in some way, in addition to creating some conflict?
I think like long term, it definitely strengthens the relationship because I think you're just having to, every time is different. And I feel like you guys have similar experiences. We have our like 2.5 week mark cut off where after the 2 week mark, it's like we need to at least see each other, even if it's for like a day or something, just to reconnect and see each other in person. So I think it's normal when you're obsessed with the person that you're with, which
it's
I think
fun
is a good
being
thing.
obsessed.
That is a good thing.
I love being obsessed.
It also can
with
be
the person.
hard. It's like sometimes Becca's like, I wish I wasn't so obsessed with you because then you could just like live and I could be like, see you later, adios. And some people have that.
Yeah.
I manifested this for myself. My whole life, I was like, I need to date someone who travels a lot. Like, I like my space. I don't want someone who's always around. So like I set myself up for this, and that's my own thing.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for.
We're doing a good job
of my own actions.
So along the lines, how do you guys fight? I know you fight. How do you fight? How do you fight? How is the fight? How do you? What are your fighting styles? Who apologizes first? How does it go down?
We want a play-by-play.
Yeah.
It's a quality fighting style.
Everyone get your notepads.
Well, we recently listened to this book, which this audiobook. I don't know if you listened to it. It's called Your Brain on Love. You should listen to it. I loved it. But it kind of separates people into like waves and islands and anchors. And so I'm a wave. So my style is like fear of abandonment, needing to over communicate, needing to solve things now. And then Becca's an island, and an island needs time to process. When we're in a situation where we're disagreeing, she needs space to be able to process and then be able to have the capacity to resolve it with me. And
love this.
And then there's people that are anchors that so it's a really interesting audiobook. I highly recommend it. And it was just cool to feel validated. Like the interesting thing about waves is that we love to pillow talk. And so every night I'm always so excited to get in bed. We've already talked all day, and then we get in bed and I like want to recap the day of the day. Like I want to recap the day of the day. And Becca is an island, which they don't like to recap. They're finally in their bed and they feel safe where they don't have to speak to someone.
I'm an island.
And then
I think we're both islands.
Yeah, we're both islands.
Yeah, so it's very validating to hear the audiobooks. You're like, oh, that's me.
So, okay, I want to know what just for my own knowledge, what is an anchor like?
No.
It's just solid.
The anchor is what we all want to be. The anchor is what we all achieve. Yeah. We all hoped a very secure attachment.
Okay. A secure attachment. Yeah. Okay. All right. The Holy Grail. All right.
So who says sorry first?
Yeah.
Oh, it just depends.
Here's the thing. We're making it sound like we have been peacefully arguing for 5.5 years. Let me tell you something. We have had some explosive moments because of my lack of communicating and her need to communicate. Yeah. So I also we do couples therapy, which I feel like even if you don't do it all the time, like a tune-up, it's like changed. It's changed me, like outside of just being in a relationship with Hayley, it's changed the way I see relationships with like my friends, like people, everybody. Oh, so nice. We have like really learned and like really worked at being able, like specifically being able to have healthy arguments and like be able to have those moments of like one of us apologizing and validating the other's feelings, which is very challenging.
Mm-hmm. Well, it can be really challenging to validate someone's feelings when you don't feel hurt as well. And I feel like that's always a big challenge for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you're seeing red, that's
all you see is red, that's when you need to take a pause. Because guess what? I'm not a professional, but you're not going to go anywhere with the red.
Yeah. That's when you need to be an island and you go and reflect.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
It was vague, but it was acceptable.
We accept.
A quality answer. Okay, we're going to do one more question and then we're going to get to the game. No, I lied. 2 more questions. Because I cannot resist this question. Given your relationship is a public one, what would you say is the most common misconception about you two?
Do we have misconceptions about our relationship? I don't know. I don't know what that combo is. We'll have to ask the fans out there.
I don't know as far as misconceptions. I do think that people see Hayley kind of how I saw her, like her persona and like how she presents in her art, and don't know like the type of person she is. Like I think that would be something that people get wrong when it comes to who Hayley is. Yeah. And in a way of saying like, I think she's so much deeper and like, she's just like an incredible person beyond what you see on, the internet.
We're
Go
painting
figure.
it like I portray like a negative person on the internet.
No, negative.
It's
but
not
I
the
would like to
shitty person you see on the
clarify
internet.
for people who don't know.
Okay, sorry.
I
My following's very, for a long time,
Let's
was
clarify
very
a little bit
conservative,
here.
and like they expect me to date like a tall Christian white man.
Mhm.
Okay, like I
Yeah.
think that's like the general idea of who I was going to end up
sure.
with, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, and
I think-
most bachelor girls, certainly
Right.
from Louisiana.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think when I started dating Hayley, and then if you don't know anything about her and you just see what her music videos, and I'm just basing off of what people have like, literally, I've had to be like, no, that's not
who she
even
is.
half of who she is.
Yeah.
And that's a part of who she is. It's her art. But I think she, beyond that, is like one of the kindest, most loyal, most sensitive, most like emotionally deep people that I've ever met. So I think I was meaning that more than anything. Sorry if that came across.
No, it's
negative.
okay. It was good. For
I don't
clarity.
think your persona
Well,
is negative.
I think the thing with like being a lesbian is like when we do anything that is like romantic or intimate for conservative people, it comes across as over sexualized or like a negative thing. And like there should be nothing negative about a woman being confident and going after what she wants, because men are confident, but they're not deemed over sexualized or like in a negative space. So I think that's like can be the misconception for people who maybe come from more of a conservative background, who look at my work and they see Girls Like Girls, the book, like, oh, that must be so like sexual, you know, like, because I feel like lesbians and queerness is always sometimes in the conservative space, you know, hand in hand with like sexualness and showing your skin and all these things.
Yeah,
So
that's a great
anyways,
point.
that's a whole nother podcast on another
That's
day.
it, yeah.
But I, you know, and so it's,
This is why you're so influential.
oh, well, thanks. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's like, you know, that's the whole conversation because we don't have that representation. And so the little that we do, it's, you know, I've done many music videos I've directed where it's deemed, you know, I had a trans person starring in my video and I had a brand pull out of the video because it was deemed too risque. Like, why are you using the word risque with queerness? Like, that doesn't make any sense. They're not hand in hand. So that's a lot about just like my career and like my fight with representation and trying to normalize lesbians and queer people's experiences in general. But yeah, I mean, I think for Becca, like, I don't know what people's misconceptions are, but like, I feel like everyone knows this. I'm trying to think of something that they might be surprised of. I mean, you eat lots of fast food. You're a loving,
trying to do better.
kind-hearted person. I also think that what I love about you that maybe people don't know is that you are always willing to grow and you're always willing to challenge maybe what you have been programmed to learn or unlearn growing up. And I think that that's a very brave thing that most people aren't able to have the capacity for or have the courage for. And I think obviously it says so much, even just being in a relationship with me and navigating that. But, you know, she's a very strong, courageous person. But I think most people know that.
Yeah.
I think one that I have, I suppose, is I think Becca's hilarious. And a lot of people don't necessarily know that unless they like know her or listen
She's
to her
so funny.
She's so funny.
She's like the funniest person ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great answers. Final question. And then we're going to get to the game. Any beliefs about relationships that have changed now that you've got this one?
Well, for me, I think just like being a lesbian my whole life, I think in my previous traumas of being in relationships with other women, I always felt like if they weren't able to meet me where I wanted to be met in that moment, that they weren't the one for me. And I think that that's false. I think that's false information because when I met Becca, I was here and she was over here in her journey with her sexuality, and she was still able to absolutely show up for me as a partner, as a person, to be loving, and also navigating her experience and her sexuality as well. And that just means she was like the right person for me. It's not so much like, oh, well, like if I want to have a public relationship and you don't, then like it's over. Like, I think that definitely changed my mindset, because I used to think that that was like, oh, then they don't love me enough, or or I'm not worthy of being fought for, etc. And that was definitely a false narrative that I told myself that definitely changed when I met Becca and when we started our relationship.
Great answer.
I think for me, I always thought that the person I'd end up with would have everything in common with me. You know, like I think I always thought that we would align on every single thing. And I think what this relationship has taught me was that, sure, I mean, I think certain things would be easier if we were like 100% aligned on everything? I'm sure. But it's been so like beautiful for me in terms of just growing as a person, to be able to see the world through someone who sees it so differently than me and who sees things differently. Like having conversations just about like even general things like politics and stuff, like being able to have like really thought-provoking conversations and different perspectives has been like so like massive for me, because I don't think that I was ever challenged in that way to see anything different than how I grew up. So I think a lot of people, that's like their big thing, is they want to have everything be aligned on, you know, religion and politics. And I think that mindset that I had my whole life has changed a lot, and just seeing like the beauty and having differences, and even like if we don't agree on everything, being able to like hear each other and like see it through a different perspective.
Ooh. You guys are just models for life in general.
Right?
I mean, people are not like this now. Now it's like a deal breaker.
No, you guys done the work.
No, but I feel like that, just touching on the politics thing or religion thing, it's like most people now, it's just like, oh, it's not the same. Like,
yeah, that's it.
They cannot even hear each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, mad respect. Love that.
You know what I love? When you give someone a task and you know that they're going to do it 100% and you never have to worry about it again.
Oh, I just took a deep breath as you said that, because the feeling of knowing that you have delegated properly and that task will be done every bit as well as you would have done it yourself with the same care. I mean, that's the best feeling in the world.
It's almost a turn on. And you know what I'm turned on by?
What, Andy?
Rocket money.
Oh, yeah. We love us rocket money here. I mean, the ultimate in delegating to cancel subscriptions you have forgotten about. And by the way, yes, you probably have a subscription that you've forgotten about.
Everyone does. There's no one that doesn't. Anyone that owns a computer has a subscription they probably don't want or they forgot about.
80% of people.
Okay, 80.
Most people think they're spending around $80 on their subscriptions when the number's more like $200. Wow. $200. And you know, it's being taken in these small amounts. It's like $15 here, like $6 there, things you forget about. It's not popping out at you when you look at your credit card statement. And so you're not like, oh, I need to get on top of that. It's so sneaky.
Yeah. It's not always an iceberg that sinks the Titanic.
And so with Rocket Money, you link up your bank accounts, your credit cards, and then it finds these subscriptions for you. I mean, this is where the delegation comes in. And then it's like, hey, do you still want that? And if you don't still want it, you can cancel it with one tap. How few companies online have your back? Most of them are preying on you.
You know what they are? They're like in those, you know, those like medieval war scenes where one side is just getting beat into shreds. Like it's clear they're done. They're about to retreat. They're like completely just getting slaughtered. And then over the hills,
Dun, 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 dun.
a fleet of horses appear.
Yes, it's the neighboring town that normally doesn't get involved, but is like, you need help right now.
I don't think a pack of horses is called a fleet. But you get the point.
Also, arguably my favorite feature, although it's hard to pick because they are all so good, but Rocket Money will negotiate lower bills for you. So you can take a photo of your bill, send it to Rocket Money, and they will do the rest.
Oh, that's just too much.
You're offended. So Rocket Money is the personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills all in one place.
Stop wasting money on things you don't even use.
Cancel those unwanted subscriptions and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Shandy.
That's rocketmoney.com/Shandy, rocketmoney.com/Shandy. Fresh. Hello?
It sounds like a knock-knock joke. Are you excited about HelloFresh, Andy?
I'm always excited. Because HelloFresh nourishes me. I feel like a big chunk of my body is made of HelloFresh.
It's actually not untrue because every single week we order a box of HelloFresh. This is a meal delivery kit delivered to your door with all the ingredients you need and a handy dandy recipe on a page so you can create delicious meals in the comfort of your home that are fresh.
I think HelloFresh has kept couples together. I don't know if that's good or not, but I'm telling you, couples that were on the verge are now together because of HelloFresh, because it makes cooking fun.
Yes, it really takes away the chore aspect of it. Cooking without the ingredients on hand and without a recipe in mind. We did this early in our relationship, and actually it was a source of contention.
Who has to do the shopping?
Yes.
Who's going to pick the things that need to be shopped? Who's going to forget something and be like, oh, we got to go back. We forgot parsley or something.
Yeah. The just thinking of things to eat aspect. I love that this is more of like a you choose your options. And by the way, there are many options. There are a whopping 40 different recipes to choose from every week. Like that is so much better than just trying to be like, oh, what will I cook tonight? Out of all the options in the world.
And that's like a heavy restaurant menu. Last but definitely not least, can we talk about the cost?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
It's so much.
you know what? Let's not talk about it because we've already talked about it by saying let's talk about it.
So go to HelloFresh.com/50Shandy and use code 50Shandy. That's 50 Shandy for 50% off plus 15% off your following 2 months.
Again, that's HelloFresh.com/50Shandy and use code 50Shandy to get 50% off plus 15% off your next 2 months.
Okay, it is now time for the Dear Shandy Newlyweds Game. My goodness, you guys were fast
and
blazing fast.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't, like my head was spinning how fast that went. Except the last one.
Yeah.
The last one they were really hung up on.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go...
Andy likes to predict what he thinks the score
I'm
will
going to
be.
go 4-3 Haley.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, Andy. You don't know me at all, do you?
Guess I don't.
He was swayed by
always wins. She always wins.
You're swayed by her confidence.
Confidence. You have innate confidence. You fooled me if I was wrong.
Mm-hmm. She would just start writing with like a completely pale face.
Just stone face.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Becca gave a
4-3
more.
me. Charlene, what was your guess?
I don't typically
She doesn't guess, but
predict.
Oh, you don't guess.
What would you say? Go ahead. Take a guess.
No, I mean, now that I don't know. I don't have the gumption that you have to make such a guess, but I
high
guess
stakes.
to make things interesting, I will say 3-2 Becca.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Controversial.
So
Okay.
on my team.
So, Hayley, we're going to start with you, which means Becca, this is your point to win or lose.
Okay.
Question number 1, Hayley. When you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up? And show the camera when you say it.
A lawyer.
No way.
No way you've ever said that in our 5.5-year relationship.
Yeah, I wanted to be a lawyer or a surfer.
Babe.
Or the president of the United States. My mom said I was going to be the first woman president of the United States. What did you write?
Okay, Becca,
we
we're
got
assuming you didn't
problems.
get that. Let's see what you wrote.
A professional skateboarder. She has said that so many times, and she
Yeah, but that's not like a real one. Like
I have never heard the word lawyer come out of your
I've always
mouth.
wanted to be a lawyer.
Wow.
They're very
Wow.
successful.
News to me.
So far,
But I
very
appreciate
excited.
it because I do like professional skateboarding.
You always said that's what you would have been if your mom let you, but you were too accident prone.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of detail. I got to give
Yeah.
Becca some points.
I feel
Yeah,
like-
that's like a half a point because she's right. Like I wanted to be a skateboarder. My mom wouldn't buy me a skateboard and wouldn't let me. So honestly, that dream had died very early on because like I couldn't even dream that because she killed it so quick.
When did lawyer become a dream? Be honest.
Always.
Oh. I mean, I respect the fact that maybe skateboarder wasn't exactly a career choice for her, and she was thinking more like, I just wanted
Yeah,
to
but
skateboard and
some
have
people
fun.
might say princess.
And we're not talking shit on like Tony Hawk. You can be a professional skateboarder for sure. It just the dream had died so quickly for me that it never became a dream.
Got
Uh-huh.
it. Got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, wow.
No,
So
this
that's
is good.
0-0.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I could have a half point.
I kind of have to know, when did the lawyer dream stop? What age?
When I realized that I was going to be fighting people all the time.
Mm.
I mean, I always wanted to be a performer, but I was like, if I wasn't a performer, I'd be a lawyer. And then in like a dream world, I would be a surfer. Those were my 3 things.
Wow.
So a lawyer was always like my main thing. Like if I wasn't me, like I wasn't a performer, I would be a lawyer. But then I realized lawyers have to fight all the time and people are like really mean. And like, I'm too emotional to even think about.
I could never. I feel like those like litigators, like I would just like
Yeah,
bawl. I would
be
just start crying.
the whole time.
I think a lot of people are very happy you did not become a lawyer.
Do you
Honestly,
surf?
I'm happy. No, I've literally surfed for like 30. Actually, side note, we went on a trip with her younger sisters and they were surfing in the ocean. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to go do that. Cause you know, I always wanted to be like a really like hot surfer chick. And I couldn't even pick up the surfboard. It was so heavy. So I am actively in training to be able to carry the surfboard eventually.
I can't.
Wow.
I'm training 3 times a week.
I've never heard a lawyer or a professional surfer.
But you were there when I couldn't pick up the surfboard.
I did. That's why that was not even a thought.
Not in the running. Okay, this is going to be
controversy
more
here.
interesting than I thought it was.
Yeah.
We're going to have a half point on the shelf for Becca.
Are we going to do it? Okay.
If
you need it. If you need it, we're going to give it to you.
Right now it's 0-0, but we feel very strongly, just
Yeah.
based on the specificity that she just provided, that you may have sabotaged her, Haley.
Yeah, this feels bad news.
This is a solid half point.
Let's see. She doesn't like to lose, so we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Who's more competitive? Becca?
She is.
No.
Oh, Becca, you hide it
It's a
well.
flaw. It's a character flaw.
All right, Becca, when you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wrote down a mom.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Uh-oh.
What?
We got problems. Oh no.
I wrote youth counselor. She wanted to work with children. You went to college for it.
That's it.
That's close. It's close.
That's a child life specialist.
Yeah, same thing.
That is not a youth counselor.
That's the same thing.
No, it's not.
Youth. I wrote children, but then I was like, that doesn't make sense. Youth counselor.
Youth counselor is
Child life specialist. About the same thing.
that was in college. This is when I was a kid.
Okay.
I mean, technically, a mom is a youth counselor,
In a
sort
way.
of.
Thank you so much, Andy. I knew you would have my back in this
I think
situation.
she's trying to be right about his prediction.
Okay, so we're really doing terrible. Let's move on.
Well, for what it's worth, the worst score ever
Was
got
zero,
on this game was 0, so you don't have to worry.
Well, we might get 0.
Well, I have a half a point on the shelf.
Okay.
So.
I don't know.
That's-
Haley might have a youth count. No, it's not.
Guys,
That's specialist.
Okay. Okay, question number 2, Haley. If you could have Becca's blank, what would it be? And you guys agreed that it would be a physical trait. So let's see what you put.
I wrote eyes.
Oh.
Are you kidding me? You got it wrong.
I like the way she's angry about her complimenting her.
talk about my butt.
Yeah, but I would look terrible with a butt. I am the most flat person ever.
You always. Oh my god.
Wow.
That's my favorite attribute of you, but I would want your eyes. On me?
Oh.
Yeah, but this is
Okay,
isn't it
so we're
cute
not
though?
doing
It's
well.
a cute answer. It's
We're not
sweet.
doing well.
No, it's not going well.
Becca,
I'm upset.
Becca, if you could have Haley's blank, what would it be?
Her lips.
Oh my God, we finally got something right.
Nice.
Oh.
Yes.
We got one.
So that's her point.
So whose point is that?
That's Haley's point.
Sally's point.
Frick yeah.
Nice.
That question is extremely meta. Okay, very good. We're on the board. All right. Haley, what was your childhood pet's name?
Henry.
Oh,
Oh, that's an amazing name.
And what was Henry?
Yeah, what was the...
Henry was a golden doodle. I mean, childhood is a little like, I mean, we didn't get him till I was like maybe 13, but he was a golden doodle.
Becca's got this.
dog.
She's just smiling over there.
The sad thing is that Becca picked me up from the airport to take me to go say goodbye to him when they put him down, but she never got to meet him. Sad.
Oh.
That is
Sadness.
sad.
Okay.
Okay. Yay!
Yay! 1 point for you.
She's like, whatever. I won.
Okay.
Very exciting. Okay.
Yeah, this is kinda
That was
good.
Golden Doodle. Very cute breed. I like the name Henry.
There's no
I don't
way
know
I got
why it
this
matters
one
that I. Okay, Becca, your childhood pet's name. This was the first time with this question that we started to see Hayley crack a bit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Becca, let's see.
Tizzy.
Oh, she
big
got it.
reaction. Tizzy.
I wrote Tizzy question mark with,
Wow.
and I wrote Pomeranian white, slightly overweight.
Oh, and no.
But you got it.
She got it. She got it.
Good job.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
Very
I'm
good.
Very
shocked.
nice.
I was like, it's like Tizzy or Kizzy or
Wow.
with
That's-
this
Damn.
That's-
I wanted. Oh, you guys.
Let me see. Let me see the picture.
Oh, is there a photo of Tizzy?
I can't.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
This has suddenly gotten very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
We are 2-1 for Hayley right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
going to take a lot for her. I think it's too late for you to be right.
Yeah.
Actually, unless we go into some sort of overtime. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Question number 4. Hayley, what is your bucket list travel destination? And when we asked this question, it became a discussion over whether it was your shared one or individual one, which made us wonder why would you would go there alone and not bring your partner. But let's see. I'm not judging.
Maldives / New Zealand.
Oh,
Because
respect.
Because Maldives is like I didn't even know Maldives was a thing. And when I met Becca, she was like, my dream place is Maldives. So it's become my dream as well. But New Zealand is also a place that is my dream that I've always wanted to go to.
Respect those. New Zealand is one of ours. But Becca's having.
Yeah,
she's
What are you
not
gasping
Japan.
for? What? We've already been to Japan.
But it's your dream. You
I know, but
you
it's
always talk about going back to it.
Wait, this was interpreted.
Wait a minute.
differently.
Wait a minute. We got a problem here.
The
We got a
question
problem.
was, what is your dream? In my mind was a
Yeah.
place that we've never been.
Haley is correct. You
So
have
what-
failed, Becca. You have failed in this
It's
question.
a place that we've never been, not just like my dream
You
to
always
live
talk
in
about
life.
going back to Japan.
Okay, I'm going to do something. This is unprecedented. I'm going to give Becca a second chance on this because it's not the right. You can't answer Japan. She can't answer Japan.
Well, this becomes more of a complicated question about when you achieve a dream. Is it no longer your dream?
Well,
Yeah, it's very deep. It's the whole thing is quite deep.
Well, because
Japan is my
dream
dream.
is to go spend a month
Correct.
in Japan with me.
Correct. Japan is my dream, but I
Okay,
thought the
okay.
question was, what is your dream place that you've never been to? That's what I put in my brain.
I did word it as your bucket list.
Yeah.
travel
Bucket
destination.
list. Yeah,
Bucket list.
Oh,
correct.
that's true.
Which bucket list
So
would
maybe
mean we
that was-
haven't been
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that's true.
Becca.
Should we give her a second shot? That's not a shot.
there. Well,
No, she got it wrong.
Oh, that's a good
New
point. Very good
Zealand.
point. Excellent point.
Yes, New Zealand.
We got to keep this fair, Andy. We got to
Yeah.
keep
You're
it.
right.
we
I'm
gotta keep it
sorry.
fair.
I'm sorry.
I want to give out half points too, but no, she doesn't get one for
All
that.
right.
Sorry,
Good.
Becca.
This
Becca,
isn't a pity point game.
No.
No. Becca, your bucket list travel destination.
Mine is the Maldives.
And I
Oh.
wrote Maldives as well.
Wow.
Oh,
So I get
Hayley.
another point.
Oh,
She's already beat me, but let's just continue for the fun of it.
What's the score?
it's 3-1 for you.
Oh.
You said you would give me a half.
Oh.
What was that, Becca?
I said I had a half point on a shelf somewhere.
It
You
is.
did, but
It
I'm not
is.
sure that's
But
gonna
it
really
may come
help.
in handy for this last
If
one.
we round up, it might help.
There's no way I got this right. So
Okay.
Hayley, it's your last meal on Earth. You are on death row. What do you order? And the two of you agreed that it would be 3 items.
Okay.
Let's see what you put.
I wrote In-N-Out Burger. I wrote mac and cheese. And I wrote Pizookie from
Whoa.
BJ's.
What's that last thing?
Yeah, what is Pizookie?
A Pizookie is like a chocolate chip cookie in an oven pan that's warm with a dollop of a scoop of ice cream on it. You get it at BJ's. It's so good. It's my favorite.
What's BJ's?
It's like a
chain restaurant.
It's like yeah. The rest of the food's not good, but you really just go for the Pizookie.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's called a Pizookie. For clarification, for history, it's pizza, cookie.
It's coming together. I'm Canadian, so I don't know some of these things. But I got to say, when it comes to American chain restaurants, I would say that's correct across the board that you go for dessert.
Oh, yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah, you don't go there to
Like,
really eat. Yeah.
Okay, everyone calm down. No chain restaurants.
What'd you put?
Let's see, Becca. Did you get?
Okay, well,
2 out of
I got a little more fancy for her. I did zucchini squash blossoms. I did king crab legs and then mac and cheese. I got 1.
Woo!
Oh.
I did the 2.
Oh, sympathy high five. Sympathy high five. Yeah, I just
but
saw
she
that
got
happen.
one. Yeah.
What?
Okay.
I'll give you a half point for that.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, give me a half and I'm up to 2. I'm up to 2 whole points.
She doesn't get a half point. I'm sorry,
Wow,
Becca.
sure.
I
I'm
love you,
sorry.
but
I
you
mean-
don't get a
Okay.
half point.
You guys have more
I am-
history. I'm sorry.
I am also a rule follower, so I get it.
We're
It's okay.
honest here.
The game's got to stay valid.
Okay.
It's
We want-
suspicious that she did steal my dream list destination as her
Yes.
own.
It does feel a little like Hayley has
Sabotaging. Yeah, it
sabotaged.
feels
Yeah.
a little the whole thing feels a little sabotage.
What are
Lawyer,
you talking
never
about?
heard her talk about being a lawyer.
I need to see if I got this right. So
Okay.
I need you to reveal
Okay.
this.
All right, Becca, the big reveal, even though we know what's going to happen. It's your last meal on Earth. What do you order?
I did bread and butter. It's like my favorite simple pleasure.
From where? From where?
Yeah.
I didn't put where.
Okay.
I just put bread and butter. My mom's roast, and then chocolate ice cream with Heath and cherries.
Heath.
Heath bar and cherries.
Yeah.
Huh.
All right.
Heath bar, like
I didn't
crumbled?
know. I didn't know what the roast was called, but I did write it. I wrote her mom's tri-tip stew thing she makes.
Wow.
works.
Wow.
Okay. And then I wrote or Raising Cane's toast and mozzarella sticks. So kind of close on the bread thing, and I'm
Honestly,
shocked that you didn't write that down.
You didn't get a point, but those are all really good guesses. I love those things. And honestly, if I had thought about mozzarella sticks, that would have gone on there. Just didn't come.
So did she get a full point or a half point?
She gets no point.
No.
Unfortunately,
Oh.
she didn't need
3 to 1. I'm shocked I
3 to 1.
won. Wow. Congrats. to
Hayley,
me.
you are the winner of the Dear Shandy Newlyweds Game.
Thank you. Thank you
And
so
Becca,
much.
there is no losing because it
There's
just
no
means that
losers.
she knows you so well.
That's right.
Oh, I love that. It's true.
You're right. In a way, the loser of the Newlyweds Game is actually the winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everyone wants to be seen more.
Yeah. I think in some ways you're more seen and therefore you
Yeah,
really won.
You won. And congratulations, Becca, the
Don't
winner of the
take this
Newlyweds
victory
Game.
away from her.
Don't take it away. I really
No, you
wouldn't.
got it. Revel in it.
You guys, you were such wonderful
Yeah, you were
guests.
great.
Thank you so much for joining us. We had a
Thank you.
blast with you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
for
you. This
having
was
us.
so
It was
fun.
so fun.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Okay,
Okay,
bye, guys.
bye.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Ooh,
Oh,
that was fun.
That was great.
I was a little fooled by the confidence. They both had such like straight poker faces. They would hear the question and be like they definitely knew it.
I got to admit, a lot of love fests, the more confident the person, the more wrong their answers are.
Well, in this case, Hayley seemed more confident and
That's
she
true.
was more correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you technically beat me when it came to the.
Yeah, but I was
predictions.
off. I gave Becca too much credit.
There's a reason I don't make predictions
Yeah,
with the
you're
Newlyweds Game.
smart,
I'm not.
yeah.
No, I'm not good at that. I'm just like I have no idea. People surprise you.
Yeah.
The problem is like I felt their answers, and this happens a lot actually, especially when couples have been together for a while, where their answers sort of like dance around each other.
Yeah.
And you even saw that with like the bread. It's like
Oh,
bread
yeah,
and butter,
it's
and she's like, no,
close.
this specific
It's
bread.
it gets really close.
What great answers. I
Yeah.
also loved, I learned something new. The whole fighting style thing.
Yeah.
What a great roadmap.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I'm a wave. She's an island. I know what she needs.
Yeah. I didn't know there were actual like designations of fighting styles.
What do you think you are? You're an island.
Oh, I'm definitely an island.
And what am I?
You're an islandish wave.
I think I am an island disguised as a wave. Like I think I'm a wave, but I'm really an island.
Oh, totally.
Like I'm like, let's talk about it now, but I'm actually in a place of seeing red, and I'm like, I
Yes.
can't.
Yeah.
They were really cute. I loved their vibe together because I've been friends with Becca for a really long time, but I've never actually spent time with them together, and it just works.
It does. There's a real yin yang.
Yes.
Not like too yin and yang, like super opposite, but there is a real, I can feel the complementary nature of that relationship.
Yeah, and they said that they're kind of like opposites, but I actually think only in some ways.
Yeah. I think they know the ways they're opposites.
Yeah.
What we see is kind of a unit.
Yeah, they come off very similar to
Yeah.
me actually, but then you can see even just like little I don't know, when they would be like, huh? With each other, that's when you're like, oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's cute. Can we also talk about how cool Hayley is? Like, you know, I'm going to be honest. Sometimes when I meet famous people, they're kind of weird.
Yeah, or they disappoint.
Yeah, there's just something where you're like, oh, the fame has changed you. You're no longer like.
I would never guess that Hayley was famous if I met her.
It's that right there. She doesn't act like a famous person. She acts she's super
Chill.
down to earth.
It's chill.
Chill.
She's cool and chill.
Yes.
Both, they're cold. She's different variations of cold, but not in the bad way.
No, in a good way.
Yeah.
And also warm though.
And warm. She's chill, cool, and warm.
Which actually
Contradiction.
Becca is in her own way too.
Yeah.
They're great together.
Yeah.
I loved your question. That was, you broke off on your own, Andy.
I went rogue.
You went off script with the question about her notoriety, her fame. And I thought that was actually really, I mean, Becca said she'd never been asked that before.
I'm surprised.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
It's something to bear in mind because she's right. Your idea of dating a pop star, like a literal pop star,
Right.
is, oh, this is so glamorous, so fun. I'm dating someone famous. But then the reality is probably quite challenging. I think I would really struggle with it, actually.
Oh, sure. That's why, I asked, is it the first impression versus the reality is because initially you're like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, wait.
Yeah, and I can totally see, when they talked about the impression that Hayley gives off, she, a theme through this is like, I almost wrote actress, even though she is a legit actress with actual acting credits. Like that's actually, I think, one of the ways she got her start.
Yeah, triple threat.
Yeah, but, and dancer, actually.
Yeah, that's why I said triple.
Okay,
Thus.
So well researched.
Yes,
but in her music videos, like she plays a part, and it would be so easy. I feel like people even feel that way when they see their favorite TV show or least favorite TV show, where they're like, oh, this actor is that person. They just make these assumptions. Even on a smaller scale, The Bachelor, it's the exact same way.
Yeah, and you can't defend yourself. The only way you can defend yourself is on Dear Shandy. The only way.
Finally.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're thrilled.
She's been waiting her whole career for this moment.
That can apply to Becca a bit, because I think that on her seasons, like she was obviously very likable and sweet and all that stuff, but she's really got this like sense of humor that slices through.
She's sardonic.
She is
and
sardonic.
You wouldn't guess that.
Yeah. I don't know if I would have based on, but I mean, I actually think the same could be said for me a little. I read speaking of people being mean, I read lots of comments saying that I needed to remove the stick from up my ass. So,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
People really don't know you.
Unless they listen to the podcast, I guess. And same with her. Well, I don't know if I have much to add. They were just so delightful.
Yeah.
And I just, I'm thankful. Can I take a moment of gratitude?
Are you
Yes.
having gratitude?
No,
Okay.
because they're like a big deal.
Yeah, they don't have to do this.
They didn't have to do this. And there was a lot of like emails back and forth with like teams, and like there's just like, when you're that famous, there's like hoops, and I just love that they followed through. There was, they were on time. There's no, weird rescheduling or anything like that. It's like, we got a date on the books. Like, it's happening. Yeah. It might have taken a while, but they were committed and present, and I'm just touched.
Me too.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's a good boss battle.
Between who?
I don't know. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Delirious.
Okay, I think we can wrap there, Andy. A momentous love fest.
Momentous.
Yes. One that's been a long time coming.
Good for everybody.
Probably our most hotly requested one that, and like some have been very hotly requested, but then we've done them. Yeah. Like this has been hotly requested.
The most outstanding hotly requested.
Yes.
Love
most
fest.
outstanding.
Yes.
Without question for, I would say, over a year.
Yeah, over a year.
Yeah, a long time.
And it's done. We can ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, it's done. And now Dear Shandy, also done. If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram, and
TikTok,
leave us Apple and
Spotify
podcast ratings and reviews, tell your friends, and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye.